Aloha. I just really wanted to do a quick video just to get a perspective out there real quick on the whole smartphone and smart etc. movement that's going on. Is really just the foundation, the precursor to the transhumanism movement that's going on. Um, Facebook as being Facebook and social media itself as being kind of like the hive mind, artificial intelligence, the collecting of data, of natural data, so it can be utilized to humanize artificial intelligence at a later date by kind of manipulating it to look more, installing it into organic looking and feeling designs to convince people that this is a good thing, this is something that you should accept into your own community and eventually accept into your own bodies as the next step of this fake evolution that's being manipulated on top of artificial history that's being this is why the public education system is so shallow in its expression of history and nature, and why it's so focused on one specific version of reality, and actually a fraction of that version of reality. And how the smartphones and the smart water and the smart meters and the smart this and the smart that are really just a segue into the next step, which is actually the convincing, which was set up all the way back in cartoon time frames with Superman and super this and super that. Given now that Disney owns Marvel and Disney owns Pixar, Disney owns so that's Disney. That's Disney. That's Pixar. All the Pixar movies, and that's all the Marvel movies now too. It's just the Avengers, and this is the whole like if you look at the old movies, or not the old ones, but the latest Marvel movies, how they have like Captain America is supposed to be like superhuman. Iron Man is like the iron version of like technology being part of his body, even though it's on the outside. It is on the inside too. He's got that thing in his chest. So it's just like convincing you through these relatable, so-called relatable characters that you see as like other versions of yourself, being manipulated into your own mind so you can accept certain things in the mainstream later on. Basically, it goes down to accepting the inorganic reality into an organic reality through your own psychological understandings of how you see your reality. So then it's pawned off as something not a big deal, but when you really think about it, it's a huge, huge deal. And another way is that they kind of move this in is you can see how they test on like soldiers. So all the little microchips that are in your debit cards right now were first tested on soldiers in their ID cards back in like 2001, I believe it was, or 2002. It was like, yeah. So that was the testing grounds for the way those cards work, and how they can track them and do all that stuff. And then when they got it right, then they moved it in. It's all about timing. Move it into the what you doing, Kenya? Moved it into the public scene through ways that you can't really get away from. So money is the new religion right now, and they want you to be distracted with the word religion and the whole idea of that when you really miss the fact that so you start focusing on Islam and Christianity, Catholicism, and all these other little versions of reality. When you really think about it, the energy behind those realities is really money. So money is the actual religion when you think about it in relation to humanity. Money puts people out on the streets. What are you doing? Money puts people out on the streets. Money puts people into fighting themselves. Money separates families. Money does all these things. When you really spread it out, it does more harm than any good. And when you really think about the basic needs of a human, food, water, shelter, security and yeah, it's these things get manipulated to go against, to fight themselves, and just distract us over time to sell in a deeper program. A deeper program of control. So basically, the smartphone puts it out there to get it accepted into your own psyche. The smart everything else is really about just getting it in your head. The smart movie or and then the super movies, the movies and your celebrities are basically your demigods. So the demigods are the the versions of these so-called angels or whatever that they made it through the American dream, so they can sell the design of the new god that's being sold in, which is the artificial intelligence, is the hive mind, the design of know-it-all, that whole thing, the everlasting know-it-all, yogurt, that whole thing, that whole world is being manipulated with every angle. So you got the education system is really just to bide time and get people in a docile state of mind, to keep them in a space where when they grow up they really have no sense of self, they have no sense of duty or purpose, and really their purpose is just to be a part, just a cog in the wheel of ultimately artificial intelligence. So all of these, the main thing is to bridge the inorganic into the organic, and eventually create a space of totally bought, totally controlled species, like creating a new species of humans by first getting into the minds and then allowing the minds to be manipulated enough to where they can accept technology in as their new god. Right, Kenya? That's what I'm saying. So the smart stuff is really just out there to be like, just think you're smart when you got Google and Siri and all that, and then when the real ball drops, it's gonna go from smart to super. And once they put super out there, it's just going to make smart look old. And then everybody's going to want to be super. You can't just be smart anymore. You got to be super. It's the same way they come out with smartphones. They came out with a flip phone. And so they could just make money and do all this other stuff. It's about just like selling stuff while they can. And subconsciously, we're being manipulated through the television and commercials. And it's just blatant when you got it through the education system. With these kids, they're just eating it up with cartoons and Marvel movies. Because Marvel is owned by Disney. Disney's got Pixar and all that old school Disney, and all the subliminal messages that have been going on through Disney. So all this genetic modification and gene splicing with animals and humans is all part of it as well. Because once you get downgraded mentally, psychologically into the animalistic mind, which is what the reptilian brain is being, triggered so much with the sexualization of women and just entire communities itself, the whole mindset itself, to keep you in like your lower chakras, your lower state of being. So when they do get to sell something that's so-called super, it doesn't have to be as super as, it doesn't have to be like super super. It can just be regular super, because they can sell, bogus or bogus super to any regular old Joe who's just been regular forever because they never had anything. And this is why the tablets are being so cheap right now, because they want to get this technology in there. And first it's about profit. Now the manipulation of time um, is being pushed even further because they're playing with numbers right now. So there's very many different angles that are going on, but ultimately it's tracing back to the transhumanism advancement through smartphones, smart meters, the whole smart psyche. So eventually, when the time is right, this is why all the Supergirl stuff is coming out, and the Marvel movies, and all this other stuff. Celebrities are basically your demigod. Yeah, it's everywhere. As once they convince you so much that you can't just be regular smart anymore. You can't just be regular human anymore. And so caught up in the egoic lower chakra dimension, then it's easy to buy and sell people and ideas when the conditioning has been so manipulated over so many years, and we've had cartoons for so long. And just me, I'm 33 right now, so that I've had G.I. Joe and all the superheroes and He-Man and all that stuff back in the day, and Superman came out in that time frame, like the heart of the beginning of all that. And that was kind of like the beginnings of all this like hard-hitting super movement. And then it started going into the toys with the whole technology, our remote control cars, and first got on a wire, then they take the wire away and get you a remote control car, and then come in with the computers, and then come in with the flip phones and smartphones, and eventually getting you buy holograms that you gotta stick in your body, or put it around your wrist first, or put it around your Google Eye and all that stuff. I mean, it's a slow but steady process of psychologically selling ideas in that are very easy to see, and then trace it back to cartoons and everything else. But I think that's pretty much it. I just really wanted to explain my perspective on how, as everybody can see, the RFID chips and the microchips in your debit cards, how it was already tested with like soldiers, they're testing with super soldiers, so they can eventually start testing with super regular people. They have like all these people working, make your checkout faster. Go to this superhuman checkout line. They move fast and they don't make any mistakes and all this other stuff. Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to put this out there, how it's getting ready to jump from smart to super. And once it jumps from smart to super, if you haven't become super, if you still hold on to that old smart, then you're just regular. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Till next time, peace, love, harmony.